What is going on, everybody? What is going on? The Catch fam, I hope you guys are doing phenomenal tonight. Hope you guys have all had a great Tuesday. I hope you guys are ready for another live 2023 fantasy football mock draft. Tonight we are hopping into a 10-team half PPR Superflex mock draft as requested by a subscriber. Guys, don't forget, you can drop me a comment on any of my videos, live streams, shorts, whatever it may be. Drop me a comment with, the specifics of the mock draft that you would like me to conduct, and I will get that done. So shout out to Tyler Everything. Ran a couple mocks last offseason for him and was happy to get this mock put together tonight. So if you guys do have mock draft requests, like I said, drop me a comment, throw it on Discord, whatever you want to do. I will get it put on the schedule and taken care of as soon as I can. So we are a minute late. We need to start this mock draft, so let's get it underway. Like I said here, Superflex, 10 teams, half PPR. We've got 1 flex spot, 5 bench spots. Pretty standard other than that, kicker defense. So let's get it going. Sleeper noises are underway, and I'm sending out the final warning on Discord that we are starting. So yeah, if you guys are new to the channel, thank you so much for being here tonight. Hit that subscribe button on the way in, maybe. Would help me a lot. All we do here is free fantasy football content all year round, redraft, dynasty, and best ball. So if you want another guy talking about fantasy football and your algorithm, hit that subscribe button. Whether you guys are new to the channel or not, hit that like button on the way in, because that is good for YouTube content, and it would make me happy. And other than that, hop in the live chat. Let me know how you guys are doing. Let me know what's popping. Any fantasy football topics you guys want to go over tonight. Any NFL topics you guys want to go over. Throw them in the live chat. We're going to have some fun. We're going to talk some fantasy football. So, speaking of news and fantasy football topics, we do have a couple things to go over tonight. Slightly exciting day. We've got the Chargers and quarterback Justin Herbert, who I took on purpose at 1.5 in honor of today, agreeing to a 5-year extension worth $262.5 million. He is the highest paid quarterback in the NFL at the moment. Probably be surpassed by Joe Burrow shortly. So he is actually the third quarterback in the NFL to become the highest paid quarterback in the NFL this off season. So we had Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts. For some reason, I don't remember who got their extension first. Was it Hurts, then Jackson? Anyways, we had those two guys, then Justin Herbert, and we'll probably have a fourth in Joe Burrow. So pretty crazy. I mean, that part's crazy. Justin Herbert getting extended, not crazy at all. Justin Herbert, through his first 3 seasons, the most passing yards, the second most passing touchdowns, the most total touchdowns, and the most games for 300-plus passing yards all time for all of those accolades within his first 3 seasons. So very deserving, and probably before we know it, we're going to have Trevor Lawrence in the mix. We'll probably have a renegotiation of Patrick Mahomes in the mix, maybe Josh Allen, and I don't know. I mean, you still got guys like Tua out there. Obviously, Deshaun Watson's taken care of, so we'll certainly see how things shape. Oh, and Justin Fields, of course, out in the mix as well. Okay, I need to think about this next pick. I'm going to go wide receiver here, and I'm going to go Cooper Kupp because I think he's a great value there. So, all right. For tonight's mock, I do want to kind of talk about what's going on because this is the first time we ran a Superflex mock that is not a Superflex Dynasty mock this offseason. So, and obviously, like I said, this was a subscriber-requested mock draft. So, I will start making some comments here after we get through the news. Okay. The Colts have placed Jonathan Taylor on the PUP list to begin training camp. I wouldn't panic about that, but it's not entirely great news. We also have a lot of reports coming out that JT is very unsettled with the state of running backs and their contracts in the NFL right now, and not entirely happy with his future outlook. On top of that, we haven't got to discuss anything about Saquon Barkley yet, but he did sign a 1-year deal with the Giants. He will not be holding out. The deal is worth up to $11 million, $2 million signing bonus. This contract's like very confusing. It's not a franchise tag. Like, they can still franchise tag him next year. There's a lot of incentive-based value to this contract, including making the playoffs, certain rushing yards, all that stuff. I haven't really had the time to sit down and like break this apart. Like, is this a better deal? But obviously this deal, I guess, made Saquon happier. So I'm all for it. And I'm happy that Saquon Barkley is going to be playing football, week 1, as long as he's healthy. And ultimately, I'm just happy that, between Saquon and Josh Jacobs, we have one of the two situations settled, right? And I kept telling you guys, especially those of you guys who draft underdog teams, take advantage of Saquon Barkley's ADP while you can. I did not think it would be this quick. I'm actually kind of sad about that. I'll go Prescott here, but I don't mind too as well. I'm actually kind of sad about that because I didn't really have time to take advantage myself. And I thought we'd have a couple more weeks of Saquon at a very good ADP. But while you can, still take advantage of Josh Jacobs' ADP. And like I've been saying, like, I had more faith in Saquon being out there than Josh Jacobs. But I would still try, we did a mock the other night, where Jacobs went at the end of the third and, like, his best ball values dropping. Just take advantage of those guys' ADP. Similar to early in the offseason when I told you guys take advantage of Austin Eckler's ADP. So it is good news. We've got Saquon out there. Let's go. Okay, Kadarius Toney underwent surgery this morning to clean up cartilage in his knee. Andy Reid, quote unquote, there is a chance he'll be ready for the season opener. Very much so a Kadarius Toney headline. I'll let you guys comment on that in the live chat. 49ers GM John Lynch said quarterback Brock Purdy, who underwent offseason elbow surgery, has been cleared without restriction, and he is ready to go. Let's go. Told you guys, all offseason long. I was a Purdy believer. Okay? And I'm super happy with this news. Okay, I'm going to take JT here, even with the news, because I just think he's too good of a value to pass up there. But yeah, Purdy's going to be the starter. That is my belief. That has been my belief all offseason long. This is good news. I have a lot of shares of Purdy in best ball, so I'm very happy about that. Have some good shares of him in Dynasty as well. But really, it's not about, any of my teams. I'm just happy that we're going to have a stable quarterback out there for the San Francisco 49ers. Trey Lance believers. I'm sorry, but with this news for Brock Purdy, I do believe he will be the starter going into the season. But we'll see. Training camp is a long time. We're already having some injuries pop up. We'll see what happens with Purdy. But that was the other kind of big news. Another bit of news very quickly here that I haven't seen as much reporting on is J-Mo for the Lions. I know he's already going to miss the first 6 weeks and everything, but he has suffered a leg injury which forced him out of Monday's practice. He'll miss a number of days during training camp. Dan Campbell says doesn't think it's significant, but it's enough to where he's not going to practice at the moment. So we'll see how that shapes out, but that was interesting, especially with J-Mo already missing time and, being hurt his last year of college and all that stuff. Like, it's something to monitor, especially if you own him in Dynasty. Jimmy Graham is also going to the Saints. I don't know, what year we're living in, what world this is. Sean Payton is no longer the head coach of the Saints. Sean Payton loves tight ends. He's over in Denver now. I don't really know what has happened. I have a lot of belief, or have had a lot of belief in Jawan Johnson this offseason as a late-round tight end target. And I don't know. Taysom Hill's already there. It's just an interesting situation. But I like Jimmy Graham. So I'm happy that we're going to see some Jimmy Graham action this year, maybe. But that happened as well. So there's your update. Okay, I have not talked about the mock at all. So let's quickly kind of take a look here as I'm gearing up for my next selection. Wow, a lot of good players available right here. I like the Calvin Ridley pick there a lot. I mean, there are like quite a few wide receivers I like here, but I'm just gonna go with Metcalf. And I like to start this draft a lot. But yeah, there's a lot of good players available right now. So, okay, let's take a look at the draft, and then I'll hop into the live chat. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. I appreciate you guys. Okay, so first round, mainly quarterbacks. That's to be expected. Not surprised to see JJ and Chase go because in most of your redraft drafts right now, that is your 1.1 and 1.2, so it doesn't surprise me at all. Kelsey, the next player off the board, and then we see a little bit of a run at running back. C-Mac, Bijan, and Eckler, as well as Hill, Cup, Brown, Diggs. So if you look at the first round of a redraft mock, you probably have JJ, Chase, C-Mac, Kelsey, Hill, Bijan, Cup, Eckler, then some combination of like A.J. Brown, Diggs, Lamb, Wilson, Amon-Ra. And those are like all the first skill positions off the board here, excuse me. Saquon maybe in that mix, especially now that he's good to go, right? So yeah, nothing too surprising there. Olave, Waddle, Adams, all beginning of the second, sometimes end of the first round guys as well. So looking at that, other than that, we just have a couple quarterbacks in the mix as well. Richardson, Watson, Prescott, Tua time, Kirk, Cousins. A lot of running backs got in the fourth. Then after that, we basically just have a mixture of all positions going on. So I went Herbert at 1.5. You could go Fields there. You could go T-Law. You could go Lamar there, if you really want to. Let me make a selection. Ooh, this is a tough pick. It's a tough pick, actually. I just really like Kenneth Walker. I just feel like I'm getting some good value here tonight. This is Tyler. Whenever you watch this, I'm like, this might not be my exact strategy, but sometimes it's just hard to pass on value. So Herbert, knock out your QB1 here at 1.5. Okay, if it's Herbert, Fields, Lawrence, Jackson, I don't care. If Burrow falls, Hurts somehow falls, like whatever, get your QB1 with this first pick. Okay, second round, you definitely want to evaluate, what's the best value on the board. If Bijan falls out there, I might consider him, but I generally speaking, want to knock out my wide receiver 1 before my RB1, especially if I can't get C-Mac, Bijan, or Eckler. In this case, though, in a Superflex league, I definitely want to lock up the wide receiver position before running back because worst case scenario, if you have a stud in the Superflex spot, I think that's a little bit better than having a stud wide receiver, I should say. It's a little bit better than having a stud running back. So plus Cup, like you could easily argue, should be like the 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. I still think JJ and Chase should be there, but like you can make the argument, right? So I love the value of Cup at 2.6. Wasn't going to pass him up right there. By 3.5, you got to go quarterback, and also with that note at 2.6, you could consider a quarterback here at 2.6 if the right guy is there. Watson, Prescott, Tua are kind of close for me. And I think they're all going to have solid years. So there's no one there that, like, I felt like I had to go with, and don't get me wrong, all three of those guys could have gone. But the 4 teams behind me, other than reverse, basically all win skill position guys. And it's hard not to when A.J. Brown, C.D. Lamb, Garrett Wilson are on the board, right? So in my opinion here, quarterback, wide receiver, quarterback, and Prescott was the best route to go. I don't mind Tua at 3.5 as well. Okay, at 4.6, I'm probably trying to go wide receiver if Devonta Smith or T. Higgins are there. But I just think Jonathan Taylor, even with his situation, is too good of a value to pass on. I don't mind Nick Chubb right there as well. Okay, so then I'm going reverse. At 5.5, I'm going with the best available wide receiver. At 6.6, I think I'm probably going best available player, but it's okay to just reverse here and go best available running back, which is what happened here. And I love Kenneth Walker at the 6.6. And guess what? Surprise. Let's reverse back to a wide receiver. I'm going to take Brandon Ayuk here. I don't mind Terry McLaurin, Michael Pittman, Chris Godwin, Mike Williams are pretty decent options as well. Ayuk's my guy. I love him as a wide receiver behind a stud like Cooper Kupp, behind a veteran I can trust like Metcalf, even if JSN, Lockett might take some overall targets as JSN's off the board 7.6. I still like Metcalf this year. I was close to going DJ Moore over Metcalf, and I would have considered Ridley if he was there. But now when we look at this team, we're at a pretty good place, right? Herbert, JT, Walker, Kupp, Metcalf, Ayuk, Prescott. So when you're looking at that wide receiver 2, if there's another guy you prefer over Metcalf, that's fine. When you're looking at that first flex or wide receiver 3, if there's another guy that you prefer over Ayuk, that's fine as well. But obviously we need to knock out tight end. Other than that, I think we have a very solid start to this roster. Need to knock out our bench players, tight end, and we should be good to go. So let's see who's in the live chat tonight, man. All right, I'm very much so behind. I apologize. Kat, what's going on, man? How are you? J-Dubs, Andrea, Albert, what's going on, everybody? Okay, I'm not too far behind. Oh, I did mean to mention that this was like a half PPR draft, but ultimately I don't think it really determined too much overall. But yeah, it was requested as a half PPR mock, but generally speaking, like there's not a massive difference between half PPR mock drafts and full PPR mock drafts. I mean, there is, like, you might value running backs more than wide receivers, for example, but the way I draft, at least, it's not going to be too different. So unfortunately on Sleeper, like I can only pick like full PPR, half PPR, double quarterback. Like I can't pick double quarterback and half PPR. So I had to go with one or the other there. This is a tough pick because, once again, there are a lot of players here I like, but I can't pass on Hollywood Brown here. Just a great wide receiver 4. Not going to pass on him there. Couple other players I like here, but this is just a point where there's too good of a value to pass on. And that's one advantage of drafting from like the 1.5, kind of like smack in the middle, is a lot of good value can fall to you. Mr. Sarcastic, what's going on, man? So close to having Bijan and JJ. Yeah, that would be just absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, just one spot off there. Crazy. Cats, give me the Allen and Diggs stack. I like to see it. Let's go. Let's go. Purdy only having it till he makes one mistake. Purdy is the future, okay? You better believe it, Mr. Sarcastic. Spence, this was supposed to be half PPR, but not non-PPR. But we're fine either way, I think. J-Dubs, it is probably his job to lose, but he's not going to lose it. It's Purdy season. I'm buying a Brock Purdy jersey at the end of the year. Cats, just a pulled hamstring day to day. Okay, that's a good update because I didn't actually know. I just kind of like read that report and then like no one was really talking about it. I guess because he's missing the first couple games anyways. So thank you for the update. And I figured, like, Dan Campbell saying it wasn't going to be that serious. I wasn't too incredibly worried about it, but it was definitely just interesting that popped up, I guess. All right, I would have loved DeAndre Swift with this next pick. I almost went him at 8.6, but I think there are worse wide receivers available here at 9.5 and close enough running backs available at 9.5 to DeAndre Swift. So I'll go Rashad White here as we have a run at the running back position for the first couple of picks here in the 9th round. Akers, Swift, Connor, Madison, White, Pacheco. And all good value backs, without a doubt. So, once again, I am not going to put in a tremendous amount of concern at the tight end position quite yet, but I love this roster so far. Herbert, Taylor, Walker, Kupp, Metcalf, Ayuk, Prescott, Hollywood Brown, and Rashad White. 2 very stable bench options that I like going into the season. So I feel pretty good so far here. Brock Purdy's another Drew Lock story, ending the season undefeated, getting everyone hyped. Man, shout out to Drew Lock. Is Drew Lock, is he on the Seahawks? I think he is still on the Seahawks. Right? I think he is. Hold on. Who drafted Geno? Yeah, he is the QB2. He's part of the Russell Wilson trade. He's on his 4th year, though. Wait. Oh, he agreed to a 1-year deal. That's right. Yeah. Agreed on a 1-year deal at the end of the year. Okay. Good for Drew Lock, man. I used to actually, it's kind of funny because I used to root for Drew Lock as well, but I think Purdy will be a little bit better. But I mean, the system is probably better than what Drew Lock had at his disposal. But we'll see what happens. I'm still a Brock Purdy truther. It's not changing. All right, so coming up at 10.6, looking at this roster, I feel pretty good about these first 4 wide receivers. I do think we can get some good value towards the end of the draft. So I'll hold off at wide receiver for a second. And there's a couple things we could do right here, okay? Probably just knock tight end off the board. That's one option. But, being that we're practicing for a half PPR league, a little bit more emphasis on the running back position, let's take Antonio Gibson here. And then at 11.5, once again, I don't think we're going to be targeting a wide receiver. There are a couple tempting names. Not Kadarius Toney, but some other names that I might consider. Outside of that, we probably need to go tight end. And then don't forget, it's very important, in my opinion, when you are drafting in a Superflex league to target a third quarterback. So when we look at the board right now, Kirk Cousins, Daniel Jones, Kyler Murray on J-Dubs' team, the only team with 3 quarterbacks. Do you have to come out of your draft with 3 quarterbacks? Not necessarily, but you're going to want to be closely monitoring everything to try and get a third quarterback off the waivers for your roster as soon as possible. And that third quarterback doesn't have to be an absolute stud. Okay, you just need somebody that, when Prescott's on bye week or Herbert's on bye week or Prescott breaks his pinky or whatever, Fields gets a stinger, whatever it is. You just need somebody who can fill in. So what you don't want to happen is you don't want to get to a point in your draft where you're looking at the quarterback position and there's just nothing there, okay? You don't want to rely on Will Levis in a redraft Superflex league as your QB3, okay? You don't want to rely on Trey Lance because we don't know if he's going to be the starter. You don't want Mike White there, and you don't want to be crossing your fingers that Tua gets hurt or something like that. You don't want it to be Gardner Minshew, who might start week 1 or might never start this season or might play 2 games and then Anthony Richardson is out there. You know what I mean? So I do think it's important to come out of your draft with a third quarterback. Like I said, they don't have to be a stud. Matthew Stafford in the 10th, a great value. A rookie like C.J. Stroud in the 10th. Jordan Love in the 11th. I'm fine with all of these options. I'm going to go Derek Carr as that QB3 for this specific team. And how I will finish out this draft, I'll draft one more tight end. Well, a tight end in general, I guess I should say. One more wide receiver, and then a kicker and defense, and we'll call it a day. Godfather, what's going on, man? Hope you are doing fantastic. Reverse, Drew Lock just made bad decisions. Yeah. He had some good games, which I guess was part of the point, Mr. Sarcastic. Dom, what's going on, man? How are you doing tonight? Hello, hello. Are we taking a kicker and defense? Yes. I mean, you don't have to. There are enough people in real drafts out there who draft 2 skill position guys and drop a kicker or defense, or might just draft a defense they really like or just draft a kicker they really like and draft 1 additional skill position guy. That it's kind of up to you guys. As long as you keep it semi-realistic, I don't really care. But ideally, yeah, we're drafting kicker and defense. So it's close enough to August that people want to see that. But also, like in keeper leagues, for example, like I'm in a keeper league. I don't draft a kicker or defense in that league. I don't like care if I lose some value. Like I will stream kickers and defenses. I draft like 2 rookies or 2 sophomores at the end of my draft and hope that it pays off and they can be one of my keepers. Last year, it was Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson back-to-back over kicker and defense. That made me look smart. Now I get Watson and like, I don't know exactly how many rounds that draft is, but like very late in the draft, a guy who's going like end of the 4th, beginning of the 5th, depending on the size of your league. And so I'm pretty happy about that. Okay, I'm not happy that Freiermuth and Ingram just got taken back-to-back. So it's okay, though. I'll draft Cole Kmet because I still like Cole Kmet a lot this year. But I thought I was going to get Freiermuth or Ingram for a second there. Mr. Sarcastic going double tight end. I like it. I almost went Ingram over Carr. But knowing that Freiermuth, Ingram, and Kmet were still available and one other tight end I won't name is available, I felt okay about going Carr right there. All right, so we've got our tight end. We've got 3 quarterbacks. We've got 4 wide receivers we believe in, 4 running backs we believe in. In my opinion, for that last bench spot, based on this format that was requested, I want to draft 1 more wide receiver. Don't get me wrong. You can find good value wide receivers, good value running backs throughout the waiver wire, through trades throughout the season. But coming out of your draft, I'd rather secure a wide receiver. Now, there are some good available running backs right now that I like, but I'm okay with coming out of my draft with just 4 running backs. Okay, I personally like depth at wide receiver coming out of my drafts, but you could go with the 5th running back. I'm just going to go with the 5th wide receiver because that's what I would rather do. So, not Kadarius Toney. Poor Kadarius Toney, man. I mean, we all were expecting a Kadarius Toney injury this year. It's part of fantasy, right? We weren't expecting it to happen like the first week of training camp, though. I mean, come on. Unbelievable. Okay, so I think I know who I'm going to pick here. We'll just have to see what happens. Yeah. Speaking of Chiefs wide receivers, I really like Sky Moore right now with this news from Kadarius Toney. And I'm sorry, guys. You guys can't see the full draft board, but there you go. So, yeah. I'll take Sky Moore all day long as a wide receiver 5. Okay, he's going to be at a different ADP mid-August, end of August. Sky Moore is just moving up in ADP right now. As your final wide receiver in your drafts, I'm perfectly comfortable taking him. So overall, I really like this team. It's a 10-team league, so your team's going to look better. And we'll do some team reviews here at the end, but I feel like this is a pretty solid squad. Yeah, J-Dubs went like hero running back here, early quarterback, early tight end, wide receiver in the 1st. Kind of light at wide receiver. How did that work out? 5 running backs. Oh, because he went 2 tight ends. Interesting. I was going to say, the point I was getting to is those late round running backs you were able to get, very valuable. So I went with kind of like an even approach for the most part, but in a 10-team league, you can get some pretty good running backs 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th round, right? But I like Devon A. Shane in the 13th round, for example. Montgomery in the 10th. Gibson in the 10th. Pacheco in the 9th. White in the 9th. Connor, Swift in the 9th. Akers in the 9th. Sanders in the 8th, All right, do you want to draft a kicker? Defense first. Let's go with the Cowboys, but I also really like the Patriots there. I don't mind the Ravens as well. I was actually going to say the Bills, but I don't really like them actually because their defense towards the end of the season, they were just so up and down. I don't know. It was really mid-season where they were just giving us stinker after stinker. Actually, end of the season wasn't as bad. Week 14, 15 points. Week 16, 11. Week 18, 20. but 2 points in week 15, then week 17 didn't count. But middle of the season, weeks 6 through 13, they didn't score more than 9 fantasy points in any of those games. So finished as defense 5 still. But yeah, I like the Ravens more personally. He finished as defense 7 last year. Patriots, though, just don't sleep on them. That was your defense 1 last year. Defense 2 the year before. Bill Belichick knows how to coach defense, okay? Cats, half PPR slight Gabe Davis bump among wide receivers. I think that's fair. Yeah, I mean, wide receivers overall do change a little bit in half PPR as well. Boss man, glad I didn't take Tony in Dynasty. Me too. Jacobs Waller's the number 1 wide receiver for the Giants, in my opinion. Better value than the wide receiver in that range. That's fair. I was like just looking at, for some reason that didn't register with me at first. But that's completely fair if that's your take. Can easily flex Waller as well. All right, so give me a kicker here and we'll be done. Who do I want to take? I'm going Jason Myers. He's your kicker 4 last year. Tyler Bass, kicker 7. Adam Vinatieri's gone. Yeah, I like Tyler Bass as well. Graham Gano, kicker 8 last year. Greg Zuerlein had a pretty good year, kicker 13. Brett Meyer is with the Denver Broncos. Had an atrocious postseason, but was your kicker 3 in fantasy last year. Just I don't know what happened in the postseason. All right. Let's take a look at some teams. Once again, Tyler Everything, thank you for requesting this mock draft. We've kind of switched it up tonight. Appreciate that. And of course, guys, anytime you guys have mock draft requests, drop them in the comments on any of my videos, shorts, live streams, whatever. Request on Discord. I'll get it put together for you guys. But was happy to do this for Tyler Everything. Superflex 10-teamer. Kind of half PPR. I think we got a good mock put together. Okay. Spence. What's up, Spence? T-Law, Tua, Tannehill. Lots of T's. T-Hawk, tight end. Tyreek Hill, T. Higgins, Terry McLaurin. What is this? A team of T's. Okay. Also Mike Evans and J-Mo. Mike Williams. Harris, Javonte, Charbs, Purine. So you'd be starting T-Law, super flexing Tua, starting T-Hawk, Najee, and probably Javonte, right? Starting Hill, Higgins, then you can flex McLaurin or Mike Williams, Mike Evans, and you're in a very good spot. 2 kind of handcuff committee guys in Charbs and Purine on your bench, J-Mo down the stretch. Elected to not draft a kicker, which I figured you would, and you got your Packers as your defense. I like it. So pretty solid squad, man. Your wide receivers are vicious. I like Najee as an RB1. If you want more upside, maybe go Gibbs or Walker, but like I'm fine with Harris there. Javonte's a good RB2, especially like looking at the run at running back that happened in the 9th. I mean, I might prefer Monty, but Javonte's fine as well. Charbs and Piron on the bench is fine too. So, and Tannehill, like, yeah, he's not super exciting, but he is a starting quarterback, and ultimately, he's a quarterback. So, like I said, at the end of the day, that QB3 doesn't have to be an absolute stud. So I'm perfectly fine with him. So I like this team, Spence. But yeah, I mean, T-Law, T-Hill, Tua Time, T. Higgins, T-Hawk, Terry McLaurin. Lots of T's. And you got Mike Williams and Jameson Williams. I don't know, Spence. That's like collusion. Dicer, what's going on, man? We will have the free leagues this year. I'll be making an announcement in the next coming weeks. So stay posted on Discord. But yes, Catch Fam tournament, we'll run it back. Cat Stafford. Okay, I'm glad he drafted Matthew Stafford. Josh Allen, Russell Wilson, Matthew Stafford. I can live with that. Kittle at tight end. I can live with that. Stevenson, Jacobs, Akers, Cook. Pretty good running back room. Yeah, I like that running back room a lot. Pretty good value on Jacobs with his situation. Diggs, Lamb, Allen, Elijah Moore, Gabe Davis. Pretty good wide receiver room. Bills defense and Dicker the kicker. So you're starting Allen, super flexing probably Russell, but could be Russell or Stafford. Starting Kittle, Stevenson and Jacobs, Stevenson and Akers, Diggs and Lamb. Then you're probably flexing Keenan Allen. But Elijah Moore, Gabe Davis, Cook could all get in the mix. Starting Bills defense, starting Dicker. So pretty solid team. I mean, I have a feeling all these teams are going to look pretty good. It's been a minute since I've gone over Superflex teams that aren't dynasty teams. So these aren't going to be the most elaborate team reviews, but it is good to kind of get a recap of what everyone did. Plus, it's a 10-teamer, so it's like just not as intense. But that's okay. All right. Nick at the 1.7. We got Fields, Purdy, Pickett. So a good example of a team kind of going, like for lack of a better term, hero quarterback and then going with 2 late-round guys. And I actually like this quarterback room. I think in the 11th with Carr and Love gone, that was really the best he could do in Pickett. I personally don't mind Purdy as a QB2. Wilson and Kyler were gone. Rodgers was gone. Yeah, I'm good at that. Pitts and Freiermuth is a great tight end room. Pretty self-explanatory. Bijan, Breece Hall, both Packers running backs. Okay, I can take that. Adams, DJ Moore, Debo, and Bateman. You're pretty light at wide receiver since you went double tight end. Obviously, you have 3 quarterbacks. But you can get by here. I mean, you got 2 stud tight ends. Justin Tucker, the Steelers defense. I'm good at that. So we're starting Fields, super flexing Purdy or Pickett. Probably Purdy. Starting Pitts or Freiermuth. Could really be either guy. Starting Bijan and Hall. Adams, Moore, flexing Debo Samuel. Starting Debo, flexing DJ Moore, however you want to look at it. Aaron Jones, Dylan, one of the quarterbacks, one of the tight ends on the bench with Rashad Bateman. Pretty solid team. How do you feel about it, man? All right, J-Dubs at the 110. Cousins, Danny Dimes, Kyler. So going QB in the beginning or end of the third, I should say. Sorry. Beginning of the 4th. Those are probably the best options. I mean, you could argue for Geno, maybe Goff or Rodgers, but I'm fine with Cousins and Jones. Kyler in the 8th is great, though. I'll take that all day long. Kelsey and Waller. You like Waller as like basically like a wide receiver 1, and like Kelsey is obviously the same way, so can't really knock you there. That left you with Chase, London, and Godwin. See, like I'm fine with you looking at Waller as a wide receiver 1, but from a roster perspective, I think you still want to draft one more wide receiver here because, something happens to Chase, London, or Godwin, then like you're in a position where you only have 2 wide receivers on your team. So just something to think about. But Gibbs, Monty, Brian Robinson, Penny, and A-Chain. I mean, good running back value throughout the draft. We kind of touched on that earlier. I love Monty in the 10th, Brian Robinson in the 11th. Penny's fine in the 12th. I love A-Chain in the 13th. You got Detroit's backfield locked up. Looks solid, man. So, yeah, my only note would be still kind of on the fence. 3 wide receivers just makes me a little nervous. But, all right, we're starting Cousins and Jones, and you can easily get Kyler in there as soon as he's good to go. Could be week 1, could be week 4, could be before week 1. We'll find out. You're starting Kelsey. Starting, man, I don't know if I want a team this year with Gibbs and Monty, because last year I had a team with Swift and Jamal Williams, and it drove me crazy. But you might be starting Gibbs and Monty. If not, it's Gibbs and Brian Robinson. Then you're starting Chase, London, flexing Godwin. So you could also flex Waller if you want. But I think you're probably flexing Godwin. So your starting roster is nice. Cousins, Jones, Kelsey, Gibbs, Monty. That's kind of a conundrum. Gibbs, Monty is probably what you have to do, though. Chase, London, Godwin, Brian Robinson, Waller can be mixed in there. Good running back depth on the bench. Jets defense is a nice upside pick, but I still prefer some of the other defenses available over them right now. But they're fine. They're gonna have a good year. And then Tyler Bass as the final pick in the draft's great. So interesting team, but I like it. All right, Andrea, how are you doing tonight? My homies, Bryce Young, Stroud. You know, I'd be a little hesitant in a redraft Superflex format to go with 2 rookie quarterbacks. But if you're going to do it behind Mahomes, right? I'm fine with 1 rookie quarterback. Anthony Richardson's one thing, but Young and Stroud, I might prefer like Young and then go Stafford at 10.9. Or maybe you target Russell Wilson or Kyler Murray and then go Stroud at 10.9. Just something to think about because it's probably going to limit your upside at the Superflex spot. But Greg Dulcich at 12.9 is fine. I'm fine with him as a tight end 1. Interesting, Schultz has the higher ADP, but Dulcich and Kmet, I think, are being drafted more often over him. All right, Pollard, Dobbins, Swift, Algier, very good running backs throughout this draft. Good running back value for sure. A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Amari Cooper, Tyler Lockett, Zay Flowers. Beautiful. Love your wide receivers and running backs. I mean, that's kind of like where that's where you get the trade-off, right? Your quarterbacks behind Mahomes aren't great from a fantasy perspective. Like, there's going to be growing pains. They could be great. They probably won't be in their rookie season. There's going to be growing pains there. But the trade-off is your running backs and wide receivers are very solid, right? Ravens defense, Harrison Butker, you're good on those ends, right? So you're starting Mahomes and you're super flexing Young or Stroud. Okay? I don't think we really know who's going to be the better option there. We'll find out. Starting Pollard and Dobbins, but Swift could get in that mix. Starting Brown and Wilson, and you're flexing Cooper, but your bench is really nice. Lockett, Swift, Flowers, Algier, any of those guys could get in the mix. I mean, literally at any position. Probably not wide receiver 1 and 2, but with the way running backs are, Swift and Algier could get in the mix easily. Then any of those guys could be flexed. I really like this team, Andrea. I just think that the quarterbacks is just where it gets a little shaky with those backup guys, but wide receivers, running backs look great and a great value in Dulcich at 12.9. And you do have Mahomes. So even with those, quarterbacks not being the best at QB 2 and 3, it could easily be okay. This is one team where you could actually have Swift or Lockett in the Superflex. Call me crazy. So, good team. Boss man at the 1-3. All right. Hurts, Geno, and Jordan Love. Okay. I think this is a good example of not panicking at quarterback and just getting good value throughout the draft. I like Geno in the 5th. I like Love in the 11th. And Hurts at 3 is great. Eckler, Henry, Connor, Jamal Williams. Pretty solid there. St. Brown, Watson, Kirk, Dotson, Addison. Great wide receivers. Schultz. I mean, like I said earlier, Kmet, Dulcich right now being kind of drafted over Schultz's current ADP. But I still like Schultz. If you're going to wait on tight end, he might be the best value right now. I don't know how high his ceiling is going to be with the Texans compared to the Cowboys, but he's fine for this team. Team looks good, man. I like this team a lot. You're starting Hurts and superflexing Geno, starting Eckler and Henry, St. Brown and Watson, flexing Kirk, starting Schultz, a Patriots defense, and Daniel Carlson. I mean, that's that's what makes your team. You got the number 1 defense from last year and the number 1 kicker. Those are the steals of your draft. This is a good squad, bro. Yeah, if Schultz works out, this team is killer, man. Love this wide receiver room. We got options on the bench for your flex. Jamal Williams could be sneaky beginning of the year. We'll see if and when Kamara is suspended. Good team. Yeah, I like that squad a lot, man. Let's see. I am Thomas at the 1-9. Lamar, Goff, and Baker. I can take that. If you're going to truly hold out on that QB3, Baker, Tannehill, Sam Howell, all those guys are fine. Their upside's limited, but they're fine. Andrews, you're fine there. You get the stack with Lamar. C-Mac and Barkley could be very scary. Dameon Pierce, Kamara, very good running backs. Hopkins, Pittman, Burks, Pickens, Johnston. I think that's probably the weakest part of this team is the wide receivers. But you went double running back early, 2 QBs through the first 6 rounds, and a tight end early. It's kind of natural, right? I mean, I think personally I would go, I don't know, Pierce is probably okay in the 8th. I don't know. Your running backs are pretty good, honestly. I was going to say I might go like a wide receiver in the 8th, a wide receiver in the 10th, and then a running back in the 11th and 12th. Like you could have got Brian Robinson at 11.9, then like Samaje Perine or Devon Achane or Jamal Williams at 12.2, and then gotten, you know, like Mike Williams over Dameon Pierce, or let's see, here in the 10th, I don't know, Mike Evans, Deontay Johnson, Jordan Addison, Zay Flowers over Kamara. But ultimately, it's not like your wide receivers are awful. You got good value wide receivers where you drafted them. It's not my favorite wide receiver room. But quarterbacks, running backs, tight ends look very solid. So you'd be starting Lamar, super flexing Goff, starting Andrews, starting C-Mac and Barkley. Like that's fantastic. And you're starting D-Hop, who I do think has a lower ceiling with Tennessee, but should be okay. You're starting Pittman, who I think is fine in the 7th. Then you're probably super flexing Pickens, but it could be Burks. It's just like having Burks and Hopkins in your starting lineup at times might get a little like, I don't know. 2 Tennessee guys might make you a little queasy. Quentin Johnson, as the season goes on, could be a really nice piece, though. I like him in the 12th. So ultimately, I just don't think the upside lies with wide receiver, but like I said, that's natural. 2 quarterbacks through the first 6 rounds, 2 running backs, a tight end through the first 4 rounds. So your upside lies with your quarterback, tight end, running backs, right? C-Mac and Barkley alone is very scary. So I think this team could still work. So Eagles defense, great there. Who's Cody Parkey playing for? Try that with the Chiefs 10. I like the Parkey pick. Let's go. That's what we're all about. Random kickers here at the Catch, right? So, yeah, pretty solid team, man. All right, let's see. J-Dub says 10 teams way different. Definitely can push QB down further for sure. Spence, yeah, that you were tripping me out when I was going over your team, man. Dice here will definitely get you in. Like I said, pay attention on Discord and on the streams and everything. I'll let you guys know when I make the announcement for the year. J-Dub's not really nervous. Only 2 wide receivers start. That's fair. That's fair. I mean, you're starting 2. For me, I just like a wide receiver in the flex, but if you want Waller, that's fine. Andrew, tried something different. Yeah, I mean, I still really like your team. Like I said, if you're going to go double rookie at quarterback in a super flex league, do it behind Mahomes, if anyone. But, I mean, your team outside of that note on quarterback is great. And like I said, this could be the one team I think that we went over that could have a player super flex who's not a quarterback. I'm a Bears fan. I just felt like it. Let's go. That's fine. I like that. So many Bears fans in the chat. Drafter of the night. I think I got to go boss, man. I love this team. Hurts, Geno, Eckler, Henry, St. Brown, Watson, Kirk, Dalton Schultz, Patriots defense, Daniel Carlson. with Dotson, Connor, Addison, and Jamal Williams and Jordan Love on the bench, I think I got to go boss man. I really like that team quite a bit. Quite a bit. So I think that's my pick. But some good teams we went over tonight. Speaking of, let's roast my team. All right, at the 1.5. All right, so this is where Tyler is drafting from. So let's see how I did. And let me know in the chat what you guys think of this team, what could have been done better, what was bad about it, what was good about it. I was just going to end it at that. But yeah, what you guys liked about this team, what you didn't like about it, let me know. All right, 1.5, we went Herbert. Just in my opinion, go best available quarterback here, whoever that is for you. Herbert, Burrow, Fields, T-Law, Lamar, whoever you like the best. In my opinion, right now I'm going Mahomes. Allen or Hurts are very close for 1-2, 1-3. Burrow, I probably am going Herbert because I believe in this Kellen Moore offense for him. But I don't mind Fields, and I really actually don't mind T-Law there as well. And Lamar, I have been burnt by Lamar like 2 years in a row, so I'm not the right person to rank Lamar, but he's okay there as well. But for me, I'm probably going, those four guys, then Herbert. Herbert for like a safe pick guy. Fields for the risk, but the upside rushing guy. And then T-Law's kind of in that same tier of Herbert of like just a safe pocket passer. Herbert and T-Law run a little bit, but not as much as Fields or Jackson. So I like Herbert here. I like the way the Chargers offense look, but I think T-Law's going to have a great year. Fields going to have a great year, and Lamar's fine. Okay, second round, I want to go wide receiver here or best available quarterback. It just depends on what quarterbacks are available. For me, like I said, Watson, Prescott, and Tua were all available. Felt like I had a shot to get one of them at 3-5, so I went wide receiver. Plus, Kupp in a lot of leagues will probably be like a top 3 pick. Will easily be a top 5 pick. So, felt like he was a great value there. J.J. Chase, C-Mac Hill, Bijan off the board. I just really like Kupp right there. Third round, already having a wide receiver. If a guy like Lamb, Wilson, or St. Brown, or maybe Waddle falls out here, you could go with one of them. Olave, I don't necessarily hate either. You could consider a running back like Barkley there, but ultimately it's just risky because especially come actual draft time, not mock time, teams are going to be a little bit more aggressive at quarterback. So I would plan on getting 2 quarterbacks through the first 3 rounds. I personally, in Superflex leagues, like taking my second quarterback earlier on. Just get it out of the way. Okay. Fourth round, I felt like JT was the best available player, so I took him off the board, even with the pup list thing and him being disgruntled. Right now, I'm taking JT. If Devonta Smith was right there, I may have gone Devonta Smith, but I felt like JT was too good of a value to pass on. Third round, we just swapped. We went with the best available wide receiver. I was very close to going DJ Moore, but I went Metcalf. He's still going to be solid this year. I'm fine with him. I know JSN's there. Should at times open things up more for Metcalf. He's always just been a solid guy. You know what to expect. Consistent guy. I'm good with him. Then in the 6th round, we reversed once again. Went best available running back, especially Tyler practicing for half PPR formats. You do kind of want to make sure you have some studly running backs. And I like Walker in the 6th all day long. You guys know that I personally am not worried about Kenneth Walker, so I'm happy with that pick at 6.6. Then the next 2 rounds, I just went best available wide receiver. Would have loved Christian Kirk at 7.5, but he was gone, so I'm fine with Ayuk. I really like Ayuk as a wide receiver 3 right now. Then in the 8th round, just went best available player. I personally just felt like Hollywood was the best available player, and once again, too good of a value to pass on. Don't mind Dotson or Lockett there. I almost went DeAndre Swift here, but I just felt like Brown was too good to pass on. And once again, I'm looking at Brown here. I feel like he's in his own tier. As much as I like Lockett and Dotson, I feel like Brown's the last of that wide receiver tier and a little bit of a drop-off. Looking at DeAndre Swift, compared to the running backs available, Akers, Connor, Madison, White, Pacheco, Javonte, Monty, Kamara. Like, I just felt like there's way more available depth at running back. I'm happier with Hollywood Brown at 8.6 and Rashad White at 9.5 than I would be with DeAndre Swift at 8.6 and Treylon Burks or Mike Evans at 9.5. So happy with how that worked out. Now, in a half PPR format, even if you get those two running backs you believe in a little bit earlier on, go out and get two guys you believe in later on. I love Rashad White as an RB3 all day long. And Antonio Gibson, I think, is the perfect RB4 in this new offense, new system, new offensive coordinator. Going to be a different team this year. Gibson's going to be used as a wide receiver. Maybe. We'll find out. Ultimately, I just think he's a good pick there in the 10th round. All right, then we targeted our third quarterback. I think we got a pretty good value on Derek Carr in the 11th round. If he wasn't there, I may have held off and tried to target Sam Howell in the 12th, but Sam Howell going at 12.7 would have been pretty risky. So I'm happy we got Carr there. Pickett's okay there as well. I almost went Ingram there. And then I almost still landed Ingram or Freiermuth at 12.6, but I ultimately am okay with Kmet at 12.6. 13th round, best available wide receiver. Wanted to come out of this draft with 5 wide receivers, 4 running backs, 3 quarterbacks, and a tight end. We accomplished that. I like Sky Moore. Kadarius Toney is going to have no legs by the end of the year. All the reports out of training camp are good things about Sky Moore. There's a lot of receiving options on this team. Sky Moore is a guy I'm taking a shot on outside of Travis Kelce, right? So very, very different players to look at. But get your good defense, get your good kicker. Cowboys defense, Jason Myers at kicker. I'll take that team. So starting lineup would be Herbert, JT, Walker, Kupp, Metcalf, Kmet, Ayuk, Prescott, Myers in the Cowboys defense, Hollywood Brown, Rashad White, Gibson, Carr, and Sky Moore on the bench. I'd be very happy with this team. So hope that was helpful, Tyler. There's your first mock of the offseason. Bossman says your team would have benefited more if you took Deontay or Addison over Gibson. See, I felt like, you know, it's all about personal conviction. Like for me, after Gibson's gone here, there's a drop off. Cook is okay. Charles, Brian Robinson, like Herbert, Pirine Penny, like all those guys are okay. I like Gibson. So personally, I mean, I get what you're saying because then like Deontay or Addison's my wide receiver 5, even Zay Flowers, who I really like. Don't get me wrong. Like, yes, my wide receiver 5 would be more solidified and better there, but I'm okay with taking a shot right now on Sky Moore late and then getting a running back that I believe in a little bit more. Because then, like, essentially, in my opinion, if I don't go Gibson here and I go Deontay, Addison, or Flowers as my wide receiver 5, then I think I would feel pressured to go running back in the 11th or 12th. And that would have affected my quarterback or tight end situation as opposed to there's going to be more options at wide receiver in the 13th round, if that makes sense. So I do agree that Addison, Deontay Johnson, even Zay Flowers would be more solidified, better wide receivers than Sky Moore as my wide receiver 5. But ultimately, the way this draft went, I'm actually happy that I took Gibson there. But it is a good feedback for sure. Andrew, you like Metcalf this year? I mean, I still like Metcalf. It's just like, you know what you're getting out of Metcalf. The ceiling's not crazy high. I think there'll be some games this year where defenses will struggle because JSN will be out there, Lockett will be out there, Fant will be out there, Walker and Charbs will be out there. Metcalf's going to have some big moments this year, but he's also going to have those games where he's just getting like 10 to 14 points and you just know what you're getting. Like DJ Moore, there's more risk, no pun intended, but more upside. Drake London's a lot of fun there. Debo's fine there. Hopkins, there's an argument for, but you just know what you're getting out of Metcalf. Like Ridley would have been fine there too. I don't dislike Metcalf. It's kind of where his ADP is. It's like there's some other players there that might bring a little bit more upside, but I just think year after year, Metcalf is just a good value, generally speaking, you know, where he goes in drafts because you know exactly what you're going to get out of him. So, behind a player like Cup and then still getting Ayuk and Hollywood, I'm fine with Metcalf, yeah. Boss, man, have a good night, bro. Thank you for drafting with us. And a great draft tonight, man. Drafted the night. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So I guess that'll wrap it up for the night. I mean, we hit all of our team reviews. Got a Superflex mock in. Let's go. So thank you guys for drafting tonight. I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for hanging out, talking some fantasy. And thank you guys for joining the Superflex mock tonight, which we haven't done other than Dynasty throughout the offseason so far. So that'll wrap it up. And hit the like button on the way out. If you guys are new and you tuned in, thank you for being here. Hit that subscribe button. And check out the links down below. Follow us on Instagram. Join our free Discord. And that'll wrap it up for the night. So, you guys know who you are. Thank you for being here tonight. And love you guys, man. Love this community. Love the Catch fam. I will talk to you guys soon. With that, I will say, thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, you saw it here on the Catch. And peace.